guys, and welcome back to Master Sight. Today we got our game one of Lady of the Lake. Um, it's gonna be it was a fun weekend. I just got back. It's Monday when I'm recording this, so um, got a lot of good games for you. First game was against Alan Wigness and his Order of the Green Lady. Alan and I go back quite a ways as far as games go. I think we've played three times before this. Um, the first game that we've played was back in San Antonio Masters, where Alan beat me. So we played at Lady of the Lake then the following year, and I had challenged him to try to get a little revenge, and I was able to beat him that time. And then I think we've played one other time at Renegade, possibly. I don't remember how that one ended up, so I'm just gonna say we're kind of at a draw right now, and this one will determine who takes the lead in our little friendly rivalry. Let's go ahead and take a look at Alan's list, and then we'll get into the game here. So Alan was playing Order the Green Lady this weekend. He starts off with a couple Naiad Hearts Piercers, which you can see right here and here. He has two Regiments of Earth Elementals and a Horde. So that's going to be those two and that. He then has Order of the Brotherhood, which will be the ones in the back here with kind of that orangish yellow bronze helm with Pathfinder. Then he has Order of the Redemption, which are the Silver Knights here with Helm of the Drunken Ram. He then has two Order of Forsaken, one with Pipes of Terror, the other with J Boots. He has a Pegasus. He has a Devoted with Heal, Bane Chant, and Surge. And the Conjurer's Staff to reroll one failed. And he has the Order Avatar of the Green Lady. He also then has a Unicorn with wings sitting right here, and he switched out for Lightning Bolt for that guy. So all in all, Alan has 13 drops, 25 unit strength. If you're not familiar with my list, go check out the intro video, the one that I posted right before this one, and I'll cover my list and what I have going into the game there. There is Alan himself. I forgot to take a picture before the game, so that's a picture kind of midway through the game. Or I think it might have been just after deployment, but yeah. Alan's a fun guy. Great game. He's also, I forgot to mention, he's from the Twin Cities, so Lady of the Lake's only like a couple hour drive for him, so he's there every year. So again, if you haven't watched the intro video, you're probably going to be a little lost, but I'm going to go over the two scenarios that we'll be playing here simultaneously. So I chose Pillage for the first game here. Thought process behind that was Alan didn't have a lot of units. I mean, 13 is a decent amount, 14 with the Knight Champion, but he had a couple of individuals there as well. So he only has like 11 or 12 scoring drops. And his list, it has a lot of sustain and heal with the Avatar of the Green Lady. So I wanted to try and spread him out more, even though he does have quite a bit of speed with his Flying Cav, his Pegasus, Unicorn, those types of units. Pillage shouldn't be too bad for him, but I also have some of those elements in my list. So I thought Pillage would be a good one, and also Pillage is fairly easy as far as the scoring goes. You just get 1 point for each Pillage token that you control at the end of the game. So some of these are going to be a little bit more challenging. Yeah. And Alan chose Merlin's Duel. So this one, our knight champions gain lightning bolt 4. Um, then we get points based off of them casting the lightning bolt in the game. So you get 1 point if you cause a wound to any non-individual unit. You get 1 point if you do at least one wound to your opponent's knight champion. They also clarified with this that barkskin tokens that are removed count towards these. So we both have a neutral knight champion, so we'll just be plinking off barkskin tokens pretty much with the lightning bolt 4. So and then you earn 1 battle point if you cause more wounds by the end of the game than your opponent's knight champion with lightning bolt. So the pretty straightforward. The idea or the goal is on Alan's side. He told me that he's like, this was just an easy one to get 2 points because you just cast a lightning bolt at the knight champion turn 1. You cast a lightning bolt at any other unit that's not an individual turn 2, and you guarantee yourself 2 out of the 3 points. So this is our table for terrain. So not a whole lot of terrain on Lady Lake tables, but there are large pieces. So we have impassables with this skull and building here. We have forest, and then a single hill. So with this giant skull piece, we played this part as impassable, and then the pond area here as just flat difficult. These little things are actually rocks that stick out, so we'll get into the game, but it's actually pretty difficult to put units on top of it here. But instead of it just cutting off like half the board with impassable, we agreed that we wanted a little bit more room to play with. So yeah, and then there is an obstacle jetting out from this one over here. So deployment wise, I guess should say we had the tokens out here as well. So with the 3 tokens that are placed for pillage, since I chose the scenario, I placed the first one. So I get to place 2, he gets to place 1. So I placed 1 on like the far left, he placed his in the middle, and then I placed 1 on the far right. I chose to do that. We did that before we knew sides or anything, but I chose to put them on one side. One, because if I get choice of sides, I'd like this side, and 2, if Alan gets his choice of side and he picks this side to deny it from me, he naturally with his army wants to come forward at me, so he's going to have to hold back. So I was going to be fine either way. And he doesn't really have a unit that wants to just sit back on a token all game, kind of like I do. So, so yeah, here's deployment. And then I did end up taking a picture of my redeploys with the captain, which I only rolled a 1. I didn't do that for every game, but I did get 1 for this one. So I just moved the giant back. So I'll explain that while I'm going through deployment here. But on Alan's side, he has his one of his regiments of Earth Elementals, the Pathfinder Knights, Order Forsaken. I believe this is the J Boots one back here. He has another regiment of Earth Elementals, Pegasus, Green Lady, Knight Champion, and I think his Devoted's in there too. Forsaken with Brutal, a horde of Earth Elementals, the Regiment of Redemption Knights, Heartpiercer, Pegasus behind the Force. Or not Pegasus, Unicorn, I'm sorry. And for me, I put a single, militia mob over here to get this token. He didn't contest it, so that's all I left over there. Then I have a giant, behind which I have a general, have my beast cav and a Pegasus hero. I have one of the spear phalanx who's positioned at a slight angle, just to run up so it's not running into the difficult terrain here. I have my horde of pole arms. I have my uh, captain, knight champion, the other general on winged beasts, my other spear phalanx, giant behind, hero, both my ballistas in the back center here. My thought with that it was in general, don't really have a great picture to it, but in general, I have line of sight basically from this impassable piece, and I can see line of sight past this impassable piece into this lane. So this hill's slightly blocking anything that would be in this forest anyway. Otherwise, I have clear view over this token and then the lane to get to this token as well. And he has a lot of taller things, so I can shoot over my infantry with cover, but I'm okay with that. And then I have a militia mob that was set up over here so that I could run past the fence if need be. And then my horde of bowmen. So thoughts around the deployment as a whole. Is I feel like I have, obviously these two tokens under control, so I'm going to force him to come forward. But I also can apply pressure to that center token quite easily because he does not have a good answer for the spear phalanx. His horde of earth elementals is decent, but being affected by ensnare still, hitting on fives, still not ideal for him. So I was able to position him, I felt like, effectively to avoid his shooting, which was the key thing. I didn't want to get shot because I know how effective the spears are going to be in combat against his whole army. That was pretty much the key for me when it came to deployment. And with the scrying gem and the captain redeploy, I found that I was out deploying my opponents, obviously, but a lot of times with the redeploy, I just didn't find that I needed it to, switch things around. Really, it was this redeployment even wasn't necessary because I could just run my spears through, which was my main goal anyway, to run them up as fast as I could, and then my giant would simply be behind them anyway. So, um, yeah, so good thing to have the tools, but I found that I wasn't really utilizing them to a huge potential. Anyways, and then the only other thought process I had was my shooting, my bowmen in particular, they're not going to do anything to defense 6, very very minimal to defense 5, and I didn't have good shooting lanes in the center. So I put them off to the side here, knowing that I have the range advantage against the naiads. But if they're in the forest, then that's just not ideal for me if they can sit in the forest and shoot out. So I deployed my guys close to the back of the board, going to force him to come out of the forest because he wants that token. And I'm just not going to put anything on the token until later in the game. So if he wants to sit in the forest, I should get cover and be protected by this hill if he's shooting towards the center. Or he's going to have to push forward aggressively with a shooting unit, and I don't think that's good for him in the end. So let's get into turn 1. I won the roll off for turn 1, so I definitely took it. I pushed up quite aggressively in the center, kind of how I was anticipating. I'm not afraid of him charging the line here. His knight units, cavalry units, are out of the horde at this point. He might be in with one of the flyers, but I wasn't too worried about it. And then the spear phalanx is able to be charged by everything except for earth elementals at this point, and he definitely just does not want that. Um, on the left here, I moved up the giant in such a way that it's kind of tough to see here, but the giant could be charged, but between the blocking terrain and the giant, the general can't be charged by his Forsaken unit. Also, this, I believe it's in range of the regiment of knights here, but he can't double charge the giant with the regiment and the horde. So just allowing charges into the giant, allowing charges into the spear phalanx, that's just going to be pretty common with this army here. Over on the right, I just pivoted my militia mob. My idea is that if I pivot them to turn that way, then I'll start uh, sidestepping over to hopefully block myself off or guarantee myself cover against his shooting. Yep. My shooting, I shot lightning bolts just to try and get a point. And then I shot the ballistas at the peg here, or the unicorn, not unicorn, Pegasus. Yeah, the the monster option. I did 5 wounds, but I didn't even get a waiver, which is fine. So on his turn, he adjusts slightly. That uh, Pegasus just moved over. He moved up a little bit, moved up a little bit with the knights. Not anything too crazy over here. He moved up with the heart piercers. His unicorn got its toe out of the forest so it can cast lightning bolt without any cover. He's touching the hill so he can see over it. All the good things. And he cast heal and cleaned up all the wounds on the Pegasus in the middle. He then shot at my knight champion or something, I believe, with his lightning bolt and got a wound. So, so we're just trading and getting wounds off each other. So, after his turn 1 and maneuvering, this is how it looks. My turn 2, I moved just to create the for me the ideal setup, which is a couple of spear phalanx sitting in front, just waiting to get double charged. None of my spear phalanx are in range of the earth elementals, being speed 10. And then I'm blocking off double charges from everything into the horde here. The horde of pole arms doesn't have phalanx, so a double charge from any 2 of his hammer units should pick them up pretty easily. And I'd rather that not happen, but they'll be able to eat a single charge from pretty much anything. So that's how I positioned them. Sidestepped over there. His lightning bolt did a couple wounds to the archers, but not too worried about that. And then repositioned is all. So pretty straightforward. Also, the center line is everything's rallied 1 from the captain, and everything has bark skin on it. So I'm really making these spear phalanx, even if he double charges them, it's still not great odds to break them. So because effectively with the barkskin token, they're sitting at a 15-17 with phalanx and ensnare. Yeah, so just played a little more patiently, just pushing up, getting the formation I wanted, and just going to try and back him down as much as I can here. Did this kind of the same thing over here with the giant and the general, just moved them up a little bit. I didn't want the earth elementals to get a free charge this turn, but I moved up to where I'm threatening a charge into them, which giant into a regiment of earth elementals with Slayer. I'm hitting on 4s, winning on 2s. I actually have a decent possibility of breaking him if he just lets me single charge him. but giant failures are a thing, so we're not really looking to gamble at that. So we're just looking to apply pressure, back him up a little bit, and because we have attrition kill points, but our scenarios don't require us to kill anything. It just requires us to shoot some stuff with lightning bolt and then control these objectives. So, and then I moved my beast cab up a little bit, but yeah, we'll see what happens with them in just a moment. So that's my top of two. I did shoot the ballistas, which again, that line of sight or that lane was one of the reasons why I put them here. I shot both ballistas over here, and the horde shot at the Pegasus or unicorn with wings. I'm sorry. Did 3 wounds, and I got a lucky waiver against it too, so very happy with that. Definitely slows up his units because this guy lost nimble, so he can't really back up, and then these guys don't have Pathfinder, so they can't run through and clear the unit. So on to Alan's turn two, and he figures that he can't sit back and just let me back him up and control that token in the middle, so he has to move up a little bit more aggressively than what he would really want. So on the left here, he just moves up his Earth Elemental blocks in order to advance. His knights are all within range and everything, so he doesn't really need to move them forward anymore. And then on turn two here, again, he shot he shot something and did a wound. He's going to shoot my knight champion to get another wound. So he's, buying himself the 2 turns he needs to get those 2 battle points on lockdown, which we both have done that in our first 2 turns here. So over here, again, he blocked up this unit. They really couldn't do anything. He could have sidestepped, but if his Pegasus gets wavered again, he positioned it to where he could just back up and these guys could move forward. He healed it with the green lady, so it's all full health again. No big deal. But that was very lucky, very nice to kind of slow down that flank at this point. He shot at these guys, did 1 wound, and he actually wavers my guys, which they're only 11-14, so he needed a 10 even after 1 wound. No big deal. So then it is my turn 3, and he gave me charges, so I'm gonna take some charges. I think I'm in a good position even with these charges, so I go ahead and commit pretty much across the line here. So on the left, again, these rocks are annoying, but I did double charge both of these guys into the Earth Elementals. In the center here, I moved the captain just because I wanted to keep the front arc of this unit in such a way that there wasn't any flanks coming from these guys. So move the captain in here. My initial thought was I could have triple charged the captain and he would have ended up in here, but I did not want a situation where the captain was sitting on the front line there and then he could potentially double charge because I don't expect to kill this Earth Elemental unit, but he could have potentially double charged the captain, killing him and then getting an overrun into the other units as well. So I wanted to just insulate the captain, keep him safe, and that was one of the better options that I had, as well as pushing my spear phalanx far enough over to prevent flanks on them. Over a little bit further to the right, I charged the spear phalanx into the knights over here. Because that's the matchup I want anyway, so might as well get in there. And then just moved up a little bit with everything else. He kept my giant out of range of being able to charge, I believe, or um, yeah, I wasn't able to, or if I was charging, I wasn't. I was in the front, and then I was going to give up a flank charge against the giant. So it either way, it wasn't going to be worth it. So I went ahead and just moved the giant up, so that way he can shoot this gap. So and then everybody else, Pegasus, General on Wing Beast, even my Knight Champion who just moved over to get line of sight so he could shoot some stuff with his lightning bolt is in here. I did charge one of my Pegasus heroes into his Knight Champion right here to stop his lightning bolt, and then also it just seemed like a pretty good position. That Knight Champion hurts quite a bit, and he could have like moved over, gotten into the giant, and just caused some headaches. So this blocks him up, blocks line of sight for him. So I went ahead and did that. And on the right, we just did our little sidestep, and now we're gonna shoot because we got what we wanted, a Heart Piercer regiment in the open, clear shots for both the ballistas and the horde. So we're gonna fire away. Which we Oh, and I lightning bolted the unicorn again, or Pegasus. I forget which one they are. Sorry. So got one wound through, so I did 2 wounds total because of the bark skin. So I'm ahead on the amount of lightning bolt damage I've done, and I've hit both the Knight Champion and a non-individual. So I've gotten my 2 points. He has also gotten 2 points up to this point, but I think I have one more wound or so. So I'm winning the Merlin's duel 3-2 right now. And then I did a total of 11 wounds to these heart piercers, which was pretty darn good. Their defense 3, the bowmen should do maybe like 4 or 5 wounds total, but the ballistas I think went off, and I think I got 3 or 4 hits, and they did like 5 or 6 wounds themselves. So I do end up picking up that unit before it really contributed. It's only shots, whereas into the militia mob doing a wound. So, very happy about that, and much more confident about this right flank, not needing any assistance at this point. I did kill the Earth Elemental Regiment on the far left in combat. The general sidestep. There's a little bit of room here in between the portion we're playing as impassable, so that after he sidestepped, the giant could reform to face in like this. And again, it blocks the general from being charged because of the giant's footprint and the impassable. And then the giant, where its position is a little tough to see, but I positioned it so that a double charge can't happen between the impassable piece and this unit, at least not with 2 of his big units. So yeah, was pretty happy about that. We did 7 wounds to these earth elementals in the middle, which they had a barkskin token as well. So we actually pumped out 8 wounds total. I don't have a Bane Chant in this army, so it definitely was a lot higher than expected onto them. And then we did 2 wounds, or maybe 3 wounds, with the barkskin token on the knights. But neither of those broke as we kind of expected. So this is how it looks at the bottom of 3 for Alan. And this is his movement. So mistake that I made, which we'll talk about in a minute, but I was just within 20 inches of his Forsaken here to my Beast Cav here. Definitely was not intentional. I didn't measure it. I didn't even think about it. So yeah, fair play. He took that charge coming in. He charged the giant here, and then he was also able to get a flank charge onto these guys, which I wasn't even really considering either. But the nice thing is it does bring his flyers in to be held down in some way. So let's get a little closer here. So Pathfinder Knights into the front of a giant who's unwounded at this point. So we're not expecting to go anywhere. He charged the Beast Cav. He double charged with his horde and countercharged with the regiment into my horde. He did get his unicorn, Pegasus, his chaff into my giant to block it up for this turn. And then his counter charge in the front, and then the flank charge from the Forsaken here. He also ran forward, touching the fence so he could get clear lightning bolt shots, and then he does have a line for heart piercers to get some cover shots over there as well. So after combat, because shooting didn't do much, he does kill the spear phalanx as expected. Sidesteps with the knight so that he can reform with these guys. And that's all he killed. So the left flank over there, I forget, he does like 7 or 8 wounds to the giant. It sticks. That's pretty common. And then he does do pretty well. He does 10 wounds to the Beast Cav with these Forsaken, and these are the J Boost ones. So they they did pretty well, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s with their 18 attacks. But he doesn't break them, and I think he rolled pretty low to where he doesn't even waver them. Even if he did, I have the Indomitable Will on that unit. So and then everything else sticks. The horde wasn't going anywhere. So this is now my top of 4. And this was my movement. So I went ahead and charged the peg character in the front because my militia mobs are already on the verge of dying anyway. So might as well get in there. And then I didn't have any clear shots. So I went ahead and started moving up my horde to get into position over here. With that, and I think I was able to just barely clear a line of sight with cover shots into the heart piercers with that. So on the left, I went ahead and double charged the knights. Again, these rocks are a pain, but both these guys are into the knights. I triple charged this Order Forsaken, so the Beast Cav countered my Knight Champion, who was sitting behind here in the flank, and then my Captain turned around and charged the rear. Definitely want to, at the very least, waver this unit, and hopefully he doesn't get a headstrong roll. And then I countercharged the regiment before moving anything else, and then I flank charged with the spear phalanx. So he was able to heal a little bit. They're back down to 4 from their 7 wounds that he had on him. So I don't have any hope of breaking the horde this turn, so I'd rather just clean up the stuff that I can. My Pegasus is still in there. Giant's gonna fight his peg as well. This base here is actually my other Pegasus, who was sitting behind here. Went into the Order Forsaken. So that was one of his only place he could fit. So he's sitting there. And then my general on Wing Beast went into his Redemption Knights up here. Again, just to strip their Thunderous, hold them up. Don't expect to kill them, but need to buy my giant a turn or 2 here to get in there and kind of finish off some of this stuff. Yeah. So after combats, a lot of stuff went our way. So the things on the far left over here didn't have inspiring nearby. So the Regiment of Knights, a hindered charge from the general, and then a giant that only gets an extra d6 into him. I think I did like 6 wounds, 6, 7, maybe 7 wounds, I think it was. And then with the brutal, I needed a 9 one time to kill the knight unit, and I got it. Very very fortunate for me. And then I think it was something like 10 wounds I did to the Forsaken unit, and I needed a 7 one time, and I also got that. So again, very fortunate for me there. And then we did enough wounds to the already damaged Earth Elementals to pop them, and then we did wounds to everything else to kind of sit them down. As far as like the Forsaken took a wound from the hero, so they're not free to fly off. And we killed the Pegasus, which was not a gimme. This Giants have failed. So, but so far this game, Giants have been pretty awesome. I forgot to mention that first turn, first combat where this giant on the left went into the Earth Elementals. He wasn't messing around. I think he did like 13 or 14 wounds by himself. So that was a pretty ridiculous swing in my favor. The unit was uninspired as well at that point, so it was a little bit overkill, but gotta love it when the Giants pull through. So after the combat, the captain backed up just to get his rally bubble up in there, and everything else just kind of stayed where it was like that. And our shooting did a total of 5 wounds to the heart piercers over here. We did not do any damage to this peg or unicorn with wings over here, so it's going to be able to fly. But we did, our general on Wing Beast did enough over there. So for his turn, his unicorn jumps over, charges the unit. I wasn't able to get within 3 inches of the token, so this was potentially a mistake on my part in the game to not have measured being out of 8 inches of the tokens so that I could just have 1 turn of movement with the bowman and be within range with their unit strength. So I need to kill this Pegasus at this point to get these guys up there to control that token. So a little bit more pressure for me on this side of the table at this point. Over in the center, he charged the horde again. He with his positioning before everything, he only countercharged this Pegasus. And I know these pictures are a little bit later in the turn, but he had the option to flank charge the Pegasus with the Knights instead of countercharge. And after the game, I talked to Alan about it, and I think he just missed it. But we were discussing that the flank charge to guarantee the kill on these guys was definitely going to be the better option. Because in the end, it turns out he countercharged in the front, only did 5 wounds, which is definitely unlucky. And then he just wavered my guy instead of killed him. So that's very unfortunate for him at this point. The left flank, his right flank, my left flank of his collapsed. So he definitely needed units like this to not be a roadblock for an additional turn. He does kill the other knight hero with his knight champion, and he moved over to Bane Chant the Knights here, which put 5 wounds and wavered my general, I believe. So, yep, we'll look everything else. Also, his heart piercers regen, and then I believe got healed. Or no, I think it was just their regen. He healed the knights with the green lady. So this is where blurry picture, sorry, but top of 5 for me here. And this is where we all ended up. So I didn't get wavered with the militia, which is crazy. He needed a 4 to waver me. He didn't. So I withdrew, and then I just sidestepped them a little bit. So my thought process being, if he charges me again, like he wants to get on that token, right? So now I have unit strength 2 in the token. If he charges me again, trying to get these guys in range of the token, then he'll be hindered again. Um, my militia wasn't going to do much countercharging anyway, so I went ahead and just did that. On the left, so it's a little crazy, but the spear phalanx was able to pivot around and hit the character. So we did that so that the giant can hit the flank. So that's what happened. Then the general that was over here was able to take the charge into the Forsaken. And then I withdrew and then 90-degree pivoted. So this peg, Huron peg, is actually looking down towards this building at this point. He did waver my general, so I went ahead and backed up with the general. Again, these hills are pretty crazy, so the giant and the knight champion are into this unit. They should be centered up. And this little token or little L-shaped thing is where my general actually is. Yeah, and then we went ahead and brought the house into the Earth Elementals to try and finish the horde off, which is undamaged up to this point. So a little bit better picture here. Here, trying to give his inspiring and rally to stuff on this side. Yep. So after combat, we did get lucky enough to break the Earth Elementals. The giant who is facing the center of the board here sidestepped enough so that these guys can face down this way. The horde face this way. So yeah, we rolled that flank. We've taken advantage of the the good dice rolls we got, and then we're just kind of it's just a effect of a wave at this point. We're just continuing the steamroll across the center of the field now, and we have kind of control over everything else, pinning them down and getting good matchups against most things. So. And then we continue our luck, and the giant over here rolls out of his mind. The knight champion contributed like 5 wounds himself as well. So we kill our, the redemption knights, and the giant turns to face this flank, which, needs a little bit of help on turn 6 just to guarantee that we have that token down there under our control. I think at turn 7 we definitely would, but at turn 6, and now it's in our control. So, so this is what it looks like after my turn 5 and going into Alan's turn 6. So, again, something we haven't really looked at on the far left, way over here. I still have a militia mob on the token. So. And then the token in the center is definitely under my control. So the only one really in contention is over here on the right. But I feel very confident with the units that are freed up here from the center to come over to support. So, and then as far as the Merlin's duel goes, I've been in combat with his knight champion ever since we kind of took the lead with the amount of wounds that we've done. So, so I'm winning on that front as well. So really just locking down as many of those points as we can. So his turn, he just sidesteps his guys to get a clear shot on the militia mob. Takes that. So shoots them off. He charges my knight champion with his knight champion after having to withdraw from my spear phalanx because he knows he's not going to do anything to the spear phalanx. Yeah. And then he countercharges my general, does 9 wounds to him, which is extremely good from a disordered Forsaken unit. I think he did Bane Chant him, so hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s with that. And yeah, does very well. So But he does not break anything, which is kind of the key at this point. So on my turn 6, we go ahead and try and clean things up. So the giant gets the rear charge into this unicorn. That Pegasus that was in the center here, facing this way, is tall enough to see over the hill. Knight Champion as well comes into the flank here. This general is actually in combat with his Knight Champion. And then, even though my general here got wavered, I went ahead and took the giant and then the horde of polearms into the unit and left the general in combat. I do have a flank as well with the spear phalanx all the way over there. So after that, we did pick up the Forsaken. We killed everything. Um, don't think I killed the Knight Champion, but this is after Alan just kind of was picking up his guys, so this was a little bit late of a picture. But yeah, in the end, we got all 3 pillage tokens. We got all 3 points for the Merlin's Duel. Our attrition points exceeded the 1900 that we needed for the +3, and then controlling terrain at the end of the game was the last point. So we start off strong with Kingdoms of Men, and we get a 10-point win. And I believe Alan got like 4 points or so out of the game, maybe 3 or 4, one of those two, because he killed a decent amount, and then the Merlin's Duel gave him 2 points as well. So this was a very good game for us. Again, a lot of things went our way, um, and then the coin flips for Allen just didn't happen. So and we talked after the game that that was really the story of the game, is that a lot of stuff was pretty much 50-50s 60-40s, but I was getting those to fall my way, and then Alan wasn't able to. And then especially that turn where I rolled the left flank up and picked up 3 units, 2 of which were uninspired. Alan was saying he really needed one of those guys to hold an extra turn to have a shot in the middle, but it just didn't happen. So in the end, 10-3, I believe, for the Kingdoms of Men. We're coming out swinging, coming out strong. I guess all you have to do is make fun of your giants, and then they'll come out and murder stuff in the first game of the tournament. So that's what I've gathered from this game and experience. So we'll see if the Giants keep rolling into game 2. But that's all for game 1. So we'll see you guys on the next video.